Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bragg. Councillor Knowles, please. Councillor Knowles, are you with us?
Yeah, yes, I am. He just called me on a trip out from the toilet there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councillors, officers and members of the public watching. I'd like to say I'm very positive about the budget. Well, I'm positive about a little bit of it. I'm positive, actually, that it was the Tories who put raising council tax into the consultation. That's 3 figures, didn't it? And also, the medium-term financial plan said they were lobbying government to ask for the ability to raise council tax above the cap. So I've just set that little record straight. It's in everybody's mind, but it's got the status of the elephant in the room, I think. I'm talking about capital budgets. These are set for things, really, is an easy descriptor, and not for services. Usually financed by borrowing and service from revenue budget. That is the interest payments. Capital profits can become revenue, but not the other way around is easy. So it follows the more you borrow, the more it costs to service the debt, not to repay it, but to pay the interest and the charges associated with it. Repayment comes when the profit realises or the project comes to realise profit or sale or whatever point down the line. The Treasury Management advises that 0.6 is the interest rate for the calculations as a guide. An increase in interest rates at 1% adds 2.5 million to the cost of capital finance for our current level of debt. That's big numbers, especially if it starts moving. The portion of the reserve risk in the revenue budget is £517,000, which covers an increase of just over 0.4%. So the things are there, but the margins are very, very small. It doesn't take much movement for it to become a problem. Our borrowing will reach 280 million in the next year, requiring repayment of 5.606 million next year out of the revenue budget to keep things ticking over. That's 7.05% of the total council tax income goes out the door straight away to pay for the debt. And that's £315,000 per council tax paying household. £315,000. It's quite a scale, isn't it, really? Big numbers, though. But as a need to develop and invest in the borough is easily funded through this if managed properly, it shouldn't be a problem. But with this year's capital programme, a large number of projects have slipped because of COVID-19, either directly or indirectly. It's nobody's fault, it's just happened. Given the costs of short-term borrowing via the Public Works Loan Board are currently being revised, and these costs may change soon, changing the picture, as they've been very cheap up until recently. So this is another factor. Slippage, though, for the start of a project or project completion normally has a knock-on effect on a lot of other interlinking projects, either directly or indirectly. However, there isn't a detailed programme risk matrix attached to the annex here. There's a summary of the risk based on financial risk, but nothing to identify which specific projects they affect, or the many other factors affecting project completion, or if they're interlinked with other schemes. It strikes me as an omission. Knowing the high-risk items and how they work together helps understand the whole picture, and it's pretty normal in programme management. Paying down this debt is set out in the Treasury plan. To give you an idea, without going through them all, peak interest payments are set or forecast to be 7.868 million in 28-29. But the peak income starts coming in from 24 onwards. It goes to a high peak and then tapers off. That's if the slippage doesn't push further to the right. This delay could adversely affect projected income from projects as well as other spending and increases borrowing. 4.6 in the capital plan does, however, state disposals of council assets are used to replace short-term debt, which most of this is. I hope it's not a fire sale then if it all slips too much. I welcome the move, though, to look at other investment vehicles outlined in the Treasury Management Plan. Diversity and revisiting existing arrangements is always good practice. Can we introduce an element of sustainable investment to complement our climate emergency and climate plan? It'll be the way to go forward, I think. No one is saying borrowing to fund investment is bad, just that there's little deep dive information on the risk and the assumptions. The world is changing very fast and risk needs to be on everybody's mind and published for transparency. That there is a commitment to only adding schemes that are essential, and under paragraph 4.3, subparagraph 7, that the council does not make any further substantial investments which are not funded by future receipts 106 community infrastructure level or local enterprise partnership money. The problem with the latter, though, of course, is you have to borrow part of the funding. So where's the real value in that? Comfort in the control of this should be provided by the new Capital Programme Board. I'm told the management accountant or accountant keeps a record of these meetings, but my feeling is this needs to be a little bit more transparent. They are the gatekeepers of the capital programme in all respects.
Councillor Knowles, I'm awfully sorry, but I'm afraid you're out of time.
Oh, that's really terrible. I was going really quickly.
Oh, I do apologise, but I'm afraid we must keep to the rules tonight. Can
I just very quickly say thank you to the officers who compiled the report? It's great. Thank you.
Councillor Stimpson, please.
Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, officers and members of the public, I'd like to thank Adele and her team who worked so hard to prepare this budget. This has been a huge task, and as Cabinet, we've been really involved and we've had to make some really tough choices. We also treasure the things that the opposition are